Hi, Phil. It's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Courtney.
I miss you through the week, right? Because we kind of don't speak between the time, but it's always so nice to see you. I feel so grateful.
Mhm. Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
so
I think about you. I think about you during the week, and I think, oh yeah, Courtney would love this. That's how I think. So I'm sure it'll come up when we speak. Many of those things.
yeah, I think I would love it. I was thinking about you today and how how great you are at the meditation, at bringing people into a higher place just by your voice and by like you have a way of like igniting fire in us, I'll say.
Thank you. That's good to know because I can never be sure how things are received. And that's a topic that we talked about before, right? Even though you can't be sure of how it will be received, it's important to continue to give. Just let it land. Well, you just have no idea how people will either reject it or embrace it. But I think when you do make a connection like that, the effect is really powerful. And the results can remain unbeknownst to you, right? If you're saying something and you plant something in someone's mind, and it could be something that you say that's not intended to make that much of a profound difference. But just by the act of saying it or recognizing something in somebody, that really resonates. And I think those simple things are very powerful. And you just can't be sure how that positivity will express itself later.
Yeah, it's so interesting because we don't know, we never know what kind of impact we make on people. And I was just saying that to my daughter. So my daughter makes these videos for, like, she made a video for her when she went to college of her freshman year and then her sophomore year. And she just told someone, she's like, "Oh, do you want to be in my video for my senior year?" Right. And the person's like, "Wait, you're the one that made the video. That's why I chose the school." This is 2 or 3 years later. And I kept saying to her, you never know what kind of impact you make. And she was like, whatever. And I'm telling you, it's a very interesting thing because the videos prior, oh my God, if like, this one girl like was just complaining about the school and that's what people saw, and it's so interesting on like and you never know what you say to somebody or what someone watches that their life is a little better for it. And I have a feeling, Phil, is that when you are in people's life, their life is a little better.
Thanks. And I'm sure your daughter got a great hit of dopamine when she heard that, wow, I made that video, but this was not a consequence that I intended when I did it, but how beautiful that it's coming back to me in this way. And it's completely sincere, because the person who said it to her had no idea that she was actually the one that made the video. I mean,
Well, yeah,
that's
and then she did once she knew it was. But that's the thing, right? I think if you do it if you don't want anything from it,
right,
I think that's the gift, right? I mean, there's
right.
something about that. Like if you're nice to someone or you give a compliment or you say something and it's not trying to get them to think a certain way or to do a certain thing, I do think that it invokes something in them. It changes them somehow.
I really believe that. And it can change someone's life direction. You just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know. And that's so it's interesting. So we were talking about like how we want to move forward with this. And we were thinking about astrology and how much of a gift it is for us and how we use it daily. And so we thought, oh, we could share it with whoever's watching, or we could share it with each other. And then you could hear us and see what you take from it, how to
Right.
live a better week or how to live a better life. And maybe who knows what we say, but maybe something will resonate with people.
Right. And we talked about the idea of, how can we make astrology more accessible so that people who would normally shut down when they hear anything regarding astrology, maybe they'll just listen a little bit further. And that we should also not think so much about how what we're saying might be dismissed or ridiculed. Instead, we should just boldly go out there and put it out there. And you, in doing so, I think the energy that we're putting out will land, and people will listen and it will break through.
Well,
That's the other thing we want to do.
I think it's perfect, Phil. I think you're genius, actually. I think what's so interesting about what you just said is that's what everyone should be doing right now. I think it's so interesting because you said we should just go boldly and not care what anyone thinks and just have the courage. And it's so funny because that is what we're supposed to be doing right now. So it's we're supposed to be doing that. Like, what if you were not scared to do something? What would you do?
Hmm.
What if you didn't care what anyone else thought?
Hmm.
What if you didn't,
Exactly.
you don't have any, you're not worried about what their opinion is because it doesn't really matter what their opinion is, actually.
That's right.
Hard, by the way, really hard. This is
Really.
something I practice. This is if I had one thing that is my biggest weakness, I think would be that it would be, it's none of my business what people think.
Right. That's a hard one because we all want to be accepted and we all want to belong. We all want respect. We want to be loved.
And in a way, I hate the word deserve because I hate that word. I mean, I hate that word. It's a word that we shouldn't be using because I hate the word shouldn't either. But we all should be loved, I'll say, or we all belong to be loved, and that there's no one in the whole universe that's not worthy of love.
That's right.
So we'll show the chart and then I think we'll look at it and then we could come back and look at us and then we can go back to see how the days go. So maybe who knows? Maybe we'll see something. We could just talk it through. So I will share my screen and let's see. So I'm learning how to do this at the same time. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Doing great.
Okay. So
Beautiful.
this is the map of the sky right now.
Hmm.
And we're, you know, it's an interesting thing, right? How do you see? So I see like the sun as our vitality and what gives us vitality. And when the sun's going around is above this, during the day, and it's in a specific sign, which I don't even want to go there, but I will say how important it is to use that energy. And so Taurus energy is about, for me, it's about money. It's about valuing value. It's about going out into nature and smelling the roses. And I think what's so interesting is that in the spring, Bill, it's Taurus season because the flowers are blossoming. And I think last week you said the birds are singing. It seems so Taurian, so abundant.
And you notice the smell of flowers and you notice the green sprouts on the plants. You notice the new growth, and then you're reminded that everything is renewing itself. Everything is alive and moving and growing, just like we are. We're never still. It's Nothing is still.
Yeah, and if you think about it, right? Like if you see, right, it's like the middle of the afternoon, and so we see the sun is above the horizon. And then if we looked in like 5 seconds or a couple minutes, you're going to see the sun will be here, and then the sun will be here, and the sun will be here. And the moon rises. And so it's always moving. It's moving, moving, moving. So some of the planets are stagnant, but they move from in the sky. They're moving in the sky, even if they're the same sign and energy. But look at this.
Hmm.
Look at what you just said. Look at all this boldness. Look at that Aryan energy of like, go out there and not care what they think. And then think about that Venus is there. It's like, hey, everything that we care about, everything we love, it's just be brave. Be brave.
Hmm.
Be
Be the
brave.
warrior in your own life, and don't be small. Don't let yourself be small. And I say that out loud, but I'm saying it internally to myself at the same time.
Well, and I'll show you where that is actually. That's here. So Mars is in Leo, and you're and how you could say is don't be small. Don't let anyone make you feel small at all, ever, ever again. And then I think it's so funny because today we're doing the video and we just literally went into Virgo, the moon. And Virgo is all about improving things, making things better. And so we could we could see how just in a moment's time we could look at it and see how everything we're saying is connected to the sky above.
We're part of it. We're just we're not we have this unique ability to be more conscious of it, to be more aware of it, but that doesn't separate us from it at all.
No.
We can just be co-creators in
Well,
what
it's we're so not separate from it. I mean, we are our moods are affected by the moon. If the ocean could be affected by the moon, so can we. So if we don't look up at the sun and appreciate it, I think we're missing out on something.
oh yes, definitely.
I
I
wonder,
mean,
like back in the day, so the Old Testament talks a lot about the moon. I'm pretty sure. And the Jewish calendar is based on the moon. So it's based on the moon. The Chinese calendar is based on the moon. Everything is based on the moon. Besides, me and David were looking at it actually. I think the American, we don't do it. And now like the West, it's Western that does not go by. We were saying it doesn't even make any sense how our calendar is. And so actually the calendar back in the day would start in March, and that would be when Aries started. So it has changed if you look at the history of it. It's pretty interesting.
yeah, it's more separate now from the natural cycles.
So do you feel braver? Because I've been trying to be braver. Like I think that's an interesting thing of have you been a little braver lately?
I've been trying. I've really been trying. And I think the whole act of living is bravery itself. I think that we came here, to fulfill a mission, and that is bravery as well. But I also think that we're here to push ourselves to reach our destiny, and everybody has their own feeling about that what that is. But everybody, I think, innately knows in the quiet part of themselves that they're here uh, for fulfillment, ultimate fulfillment.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why we're finding so many people are not happy. I don't think it's happiness they're looking for. I think that there's this knowing inside of them that there's something missing. And it's and how important it is. How important it is to if you to look to the stars, right? To look to the stars. Can you see that? Can you see
Hmm.
that chart? Like, are you seeing it on the full screen again?
Yeah, I'm seeing with the blue background.
Oh, so wait, that's weird. So now it didn't go back to the full screen?
No,
Oh, so now that's very interesting. What about now?
no.
Okay, so stop share and we'll share it again.
Okay.
How about that?
There we go.
Okay, so we'll animate this. So this is the events today, right? And we were deciding to like maybe we could share with people how to make their week a little bit better. And I will say I am a moon person. And so we could say Monday and Tuesday and into Wednesday that moon and Virgo is going to be asking you to make things a little better. What can you do to improve things versus being critical or complaining?
Right.
Don't
And
complain.
right. And enjoy the task in front of you, whatever that happens to be. It could be something mundane like going to the grocery store or planting seeds, but do it with intention and bring your integrity to it. And that's where I think you're really taking advantages of the energy of the moon in Virgo.
Yeah. Well, and I think also if you think about just all those Aries planets, we'll show you right there, just in case you are looking, right? Neptune and Venus and Mercury is how important it is to be present in it. Like you said it perfectly. Like if you're planting seeds, plant the seeds. Be wherever you are because there is where you will find the peace. I mean, I think we're really looking for peace. I mean, you could see this right here. A Taurus. Okay, you might not be a Taurus, but that sun is in Taurus, so it wants everyone to get along and be peaceful. Be peaceful. Don't argue with people. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I other people say Aries is arguing. I'll say Aries is wants what they want, but I don't think that has to be an arguing thing. I think you could appreciate what people want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to tomorrow, which would be Monday. Can you see, are you still on the full screen?
Yes.
Okay. So did we move it? Yeah, we
Yeah.
moved it to May 6th. Look, this is a first. So we're being uncomfortable change. Look, I think what's so interesting is it's not always so comfortable to do something new. And here we are doing something new. So I'm so proud of us, Phil. And we'll get better at it. Look at that Virgo moon. We are going to get better at it.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because if you look here, the lower, it's so important because the moon on Tuesday and going towards Wednesday is going to be moving towards the south node. And this is old habits, patterns to be really watchful of judging yourself, of making yourself small, of making yourself wrong, of really being critical of yourself. And we have a way, we have that little, like you and I talk a lot about this, but this voice in our head and you're going to see it's going to be squaring the Jupiter, right? So yeah, so oh my God. No, is that squaring? Yeah, it's going to be squaring Jupiter, right? Is this, yeah, this is squaring Jupiter. Sometimes I'm like, wait, am I seeing it right? I am. Oh my God, your mind matters. Phil, you know about the mind, but think about it.
Yes. Hmm.
Your mind could go on Tuesday and Wednesday. Your thoughts really, really matter.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think Virgo can be a little bit critical. So try and just let that go, especially when it comes to yourself. You know, try not to be too judgy, I guess, about minutia and just
Well, I
flow.
think about if you're complaining about, I always say it like this, if you're actually complaining about something, right? If you're actually complaining about something, can you actually improve it? So if you're just complaining just to complain on Tuesday and Wednesday, stop yourself.
It's a very frustrating feeling, and I know what it is. And it can feel overwhelming at times, but that's purely mental experience. This is occurring internally if I allow it.
I'm
Not,
hearing the song. I'm hearing the song. Yeah, like making a list and checking it twice. Yeah, it is internal. So get it to be external. Like you just said, it's internal. It is an internal thing, but I think it's you wanting to do something. So just almost write it down and you know what, like that energy just likes to check it off the list. We can move it over to Wednesday just to see, but yeah, we could look at, you see, oh, Wednesday right around this time. So it's like 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You know, Phil, we've talked about this before, about how important it is to, because then we can see Saturn here, is to be so disciplined with your spiritual work, to be so disciplined with your, so Wednesday, so disciplined with remembering your divinity.
Hmm.
And we're going to be doing a competition that day. So, oh
That's,
my God. So, wait, we really better be out of our heads.
that's very interesting, isn't it?
Wait, that means I love you very much, Phil. But you know, I love Phil very much. Because I kind of know Phil. And his chart is he has a lot of Gemini. So it's actually going to be squaring. This is a very good message for Phil to be very kind to himself
Hmm. Yeah.
and
Well,
Courtney too, by the way. But I'm wondering where you have Gemini at that 22 mark, because do you have anything at 22?
my moon is at 27, so that would be the closest.
Yeah. So your thoughts too. But it is interesting because Saturn is asking us, so Saturn's like it constricts us, it puts boundaries up, but it asks us to, it calls for us today, right now, since it's on the North Node in Pisces, to swim, to trust, to ask for God, for ask for the divine. Oh, so that's a good answer for you. So, and you give your competition and Courtney too. Trust that there's a higher power with you. Like let go and a little bit. Have a little fun.
Mhm.
That's true with anybody
So,
right now.
and so I consider it a, a gift that I have this understanding of astrology, which allows me to listen to what you say and embrace it, because I'm resonating with it. So there might be people who are watching who don't really listen much to astrology, or else
Or they're just beginning, or they're just
or they're
beginning.
just beginning, or they might be dismissive of it. But wherever you are with your understanding or acceptance of astrology, simply having a support system that reminds me to just let go and trust the divine. What a beautiful gift that is to hear it and accept it. So again, I don't think you have to be fully absorbed in the world of astrology to have some wonderful takeaways from it.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to be studying it or reading about it. It's more, okay, if the energy is how do I let go of the criticalness right now and remember that I'm divine, that's a good reminder that we're all, I mean, you read, was it Gary Zukav who kind of coined it? We're all human beings we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And oh, it's really very human of us. Here, you talk while I try to find the screen share again.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're
Well,
at the 7th. We're going to move to the 8th. So this will be Thursday.
we still have a lot of planets in Aries and Pisces, which is
Yeah, so these are going to stay through. Like we're playing that. Yeah, that's the theme, right? Remembering your divine, and then are you going to be brave enough? Are remembering your and think about that. You can't actually be brave if you don't know your divinity.
right. Because understanding your divinity gives you that bravery. Because if you really feel like you're connected to the universe and not separate from it, then you can draw on all kinds of support. And you can be less scared because you're not alone.
Well, back in the day, right? Like in the Roman times, they didn't believe in Jesus. They believed in the sun god, right? And the moon god, and they believed in Saturn, right? That's Saturn. So it's and that's actually interesting because we'll say to you, okay, on Thursday, beautiful day, we're going to be wanting to be friendly to people. Maybe you're gonna not want to be alone because then the moon, and then you could see, and if you feel lonely, call a friend.
Hmm.
Call a friend. Go
Hmm.
be brave. Go out on dates. If you're
Hmm.
single, what do you know those apps? Wait, maybe you could go dating. I don't know. Do you date, Phil?
I haven't in a while, but I'm definitely open to it.
See, maybe on Thursday,
Maybe on
maybe
Thursday
you're
would be a
gonna
good day.
feel, maybe on Thursday you're gonna have that Aries Venus say, do I want to be alone or maybe I want to canoodle with somebody?
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
teasing you, but I'm not really teasing you. And then look, this is so it goes back again to being brave and having courage to be seen. And think about if you're starting to date somebody or if you are in love with somebody, how important it is to ask for what you want. So this is Thursday. If you want something from somebody, you better ask. What are you seeing here? But on Thursday, this is my message to you. If you want to hear Courtney's message, if you want something from somebody, have the courage to ask for it.
Hmm.
Mars, the lion over there in Mars, and then we could look at the moon in relationships, and then being brave in
Hmm.
Aries.
Yeah. And I see that Jupiter and the MC are right at the top of the chart. So that would definitely factor in to, I guess it would have something to do with being brave and being seen. Whatever brave thing I might decide to do will be seen. It would be part of how people understand me.
Yeah. And it's interesting that, we're really, if you think about this Jupiter up here, right? And so this is exactly at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Jupiter will be on the top of the sky. And then, right, so this is the top of the sky. Jupiter, the sun's going to start setting, right? And then we could see Venus is a daytime. So Venus is up during the day, right? So her energy is helping us during the day and then go to sleep at night. But here is so interesting. The Jupiter is sextiling it is sextiling your word. So the expanding what you say, having courage to say what you need to say, but be brave because you're right. Jupiter's going to help you. Jupiter's helping you with your words, but you have to ask for what you want. A lot of people don't. This is what I notice. You ever notice this? We ask for what we don't want, and then Jupiter hears us and they have a way of giving it to us. So, especially now, I mean, everybody should be so intentional about their words. So, we're going to move to Friday, which is Venus's day. So, back in the days, Friday the 9th. Okay, so Friday the 9th. Back in the day, I don't even know what I was going to say. Oh, back in the day, a lot of people would use the days of the week to go on what matters. And so for Friday on May 9th, it would be Venus's day. And so you would look to Venus to see what to do. And you could see that Venus and Neptune are connected. So if I was going to ask you on Venus's day on Friday, what do you think we should do?
I guess it would definitely be connected to spiritual feelings, whatever that would mean. Or on a more mundane level, maybe it's a movie night because Neptune is definitely about movies and not so much entertainment, but definitely movies. Uh, and of course, Venus would be sociable. So yeah, going to see a play or a movie or
Yeah, and being brave. So I keep on thinking of that. how about if you like if you think about this energy, if there was something mystical about you now, and everyone had this mystic that they're walking with, who, if you were brave, oh, I'll ask you, if you're brave, who would you call to invite to the movies?
Oh
Feels like I don't
boy,
want to talk about that.
I have I don't have anyone in mind, Courtney. You know what I would like to do? I would like to find out from my exes how things went wrong.
Good. So you're going to do that on Friday.
I
Because
don't
look
know.
at,
I
well,
can't.
I'll
I
show you
can't.
what, I'll show you why that would be a really good idea. Okay. Because
Okay.
we're going to see maybe Saturday, the moon is going to be moving right across from Mercury, and the moon is in the house of in the relationship, like the other person. How does the other person feel? Maybe I can apologize. Maybe I could be brave enough to say if I've what part. I think it's such a nice idea, Phil, as okay, just saying
I,
what a
uh-oh.
gift you could give yourself to see your
Yeah.
truth about yourself, right? To see what you need to see about yourself. So as you can enter into new relationships, friendships, relationships, you can let go of that, right? So you see here, we could let go of the baggage that we've held and held on to. And once we see the truth, we can move forward and respond a little differently. I think it's a really brave, by the way, brave, and I would say mystical. If you're watching the video, I'm circling the aspect here, a mystical decision, and how happy it would be for your Mercury, which it would be it would be so brave because you would that would be getting over yourself totally.
Yes, it would. I completely agree.
I can't wait to hear next week what you decide on that one. But we'll move to Saturday since I'm not so sure. Oh my God, Saturday's even better, Phil. Look at that. Because, well, no, maybe not, because now Mercury goes into Taurus. So I don't know. Friday might be the day to be brave to call. I like it, Phil. I'm really proud of you. But it is interesting about Mercury's going into Taurus, which, so Saturday is Saturn's day. And
Mhm.
so it's actually so interesting because in the Jewish religion, in the Jewish faith, if you're very religious, you take Saturdays off. You have a rest day. And it's so interesting because on Sunday too is what, I think Christians or Catholics do. But Saturday is actually a day where it's really good to work if you think of it as Saturn's day.
Mhm.
I actually work on Saturdays, so it's funny. What do you do on Saturdays usually?
I just give myself the whole day off. It's Saturday and Sunday are the one days where I give myself the whole day off. But I do things that I want to do, like I'll go for a run or I'll go for a swim and whatever else might come up. But I I used to be someone who worked on Saturdays and Sundays. When I was younger, I bartended, and that meant not working at night, but not having my days either, right? So
Where did
uh,
you bartend? This is so fun.
in Manhattan, I
Wait, where in Manhattan?
none of these places are
You
around
remember
any.
I grew up in Manhattan, so I might know them. I was back in the day.
So one place was called Freckles, and it was kind of a nightclub, and the other place was called Fitzpatrick's, and there was another place on called
Wait, was
Fleming's.
Patrick's on like Third Avenue in the 20s or something?
No, it was Third Avenue in the 80s.
Okay.
All these bars were in the 80s. Fleming's was on 57th Street. That was the biggest one. But this other place that I worked was called Freckles, and it was a nightclub, but it was more like a private club because organizations would rent it out and then, but it was set up like a nightclub. So alumni associations would rent it out. Often they those would be our clientele, and they would have it for the whole night. but then we would open it up later to the public. It's one of these strange hybrid business models that actually worked because they would bring people in earlier and pack the place. And when these people
Well, it's
bought
still what
out,
they do. I mean, that's what hotels do. That's how they make their money. And so it's still
yeah,
what happens.
yeah. But this place had open bars often, and that just created all kinds of mania. So I've got lots of stories about it. Anyhow, in New York, as you know, last call's at 4 a.m. So I didn't come home until the sun came up on weekends. So I didn't have weekends at all for the longest time. So now I just enjoy the fact that I have weekends to myself.
I like that. I think it's important to take time and for yourself and do what you want to do, which I think is a very important thing. It's
To
important to do
to
what you want to do. And we'll look to see on Sunday as we're going to see, we're going to take you through the whole week. And now we're on Saturday. And I think this is an interesting thing just because I think I love this. I actually don't do this. I'm a very much a person that does one day at a time. And so this to me is actually super helpful to be able to come on Mondays with you and be able to look at the week ahead of time to kind of know what I'm getting into or maybe what's going to come up. Because I do in the morning. That's the first thing I do in the morning after I meditate is I look and then I write a message based on the sky. But I've never really looked at it ahead of time. So I think this is fun. I think it's fun. So this is Sunday, which is the day of the sun.
and I
I
have,
expect the unexpected because you see that we're
oh, yeah,
expect like how about if everything will be interesting to see if you call your friends that you've been with before, and then
mhm,
maybe they call you back. And it's
right.
really loving actually, because now the messenger is in Taurus and it's being ruled like it's kind of peaceful. It's a little happier. It's a little gentler. Maybe this is when you should call. And then look, you could
Moon
find
in
out the
Libra.
truth.
Moon is, yeah, right. Moon in Virgo. Yes.
In Scorpio, yeah, I think the moon goes
Scorpio.
into Scorpio on I know I get, okay, why, Phil? This is my question to you. Why did the astrology group make the Virgo and the Scorpio so similar? It's like they want to trip us up. You ever notice that? It's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
why? Like, can't
Yeah.
we just make it a new thing? Like, just create a new symbol for Scorpio because it really doesn't match it anyway.
Yeah, they're so unlike. They're just not even similar energies. So
Yeah.
you're right.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, I love Scorpio energy. I think it's transformative. It's changing. It's asking us to make the changes we need to. It's asking us to see the things we need to. It will bring things to light so we can have more peace. But I would say expect the unexpected. This is later on in the afternoon, but what if like the next and then when we meet next week, I mean, we're really going to have that Sun Uranus together and
Mm.
you know, life is so unexpected. We never know it's possible.
But we're a little bit more prepared for it because we looked at the weather for the week.
We did. And Phil's going to find out lots of information about himself so he could come back next week and share it with us. Wouldn't that be fun? I think what's
Oh
interesting is
boy.
just how I love that it's always moving and it's always shifting and it's affecting us all individually differently based on our own charts. But we all are going through a lot of the same stuff at the same time and we're more connected than not connected. And I think what's so amazing is how we're just not alone and we can feel so alone sometimes.
Yes. I think that's a very modern condition. I don't think people were as alone in the past. And I'm talking about even 30 years ago or 40 years ago. Even then, I
20
believe
year, 20 year, 20 years
20
ago.
years ago,
It was the phones.
right?
It is the
The
phones.
phone.
It is so the phones.
And I was just going to say exactly right. I can remember when families sat around the same television at the same time and watched the same things and talked about them the next day. And I don't think, I certainly don't watch television with a group anymore. I don't think a lot of people do. And they certainly don't watch it at the same time because, like you said, the phone, the internet, we're all getting information at the touch of a button. But I think we're missing out when we know that this flood of information is available to us at all times. The other thing I remember is paying close attention to what I watched on TV when I was a child because it was only going to play once at that time on that date. You know, if you wanted to see an episode of, say, Batman, you had to be there and watch it. You might be able to catch it again in the summer, but that wasn't a given. And then it would go away. You couldn't go to the library and pull it. You couldn't
Well, you couldn't
find
just,
it
oh, wait, go
anywhere.
on YouTube. I mean, or just watch it
No,
over and over again on Netflix. But I think that's
you
such,
couldn't.
okay. Go back to that. We were talking about the weather of the week and
Mhm.
go back to appreciation. And sometimes we can appreciate, and that's a very much what the sun is asking us to do is to have appreciation. But it's like too much of a good thing. It's like sometimes if it's too available, do we appreciate it? It's like, the guy who likes you too much or the girl that's too into you, right? It's like this balance of it's interesting appreciation to have
Yes,
appreciation for it. And yeah, because I mean, I used to get so excited. Do you remember my mother used to sit, we used to go to, they watched Dynasty. Did you guys watch Dynasty? It was
yes.
Dynasty and Dallas. And I think Dynasty was on Wednesday nights and then Dallas was on Friday nights. And we weren't allowed to talk. And I couldn't even like Dallas. I didn't even like Dallas. And we had to sit there and watch Dallas. And we watched it as a family. And I remember, do you remember? Did I tell you? I think I've talked about this before, so I don't know if it was with you. Then Bobby dies. And it was
Yeah, it
2 years.
wasn't.
2 years just they lied. They said, oh, and then it was like Bobby died, and then he came back to life in the shower. And everyone in the world knew. Everyone in the world knew. I was so angry. I was like, I was so angry. I was like, I will never watch the show again. I don't think I
Yeah,
watched it again.
yeah. I don't remember the Who Shot JR. Remember that summer? It was like it was actually happening and to a real person. There were everyone was talking about it. There were stickers. It was
You're
everywhere. That's
right. But there was something to talk about. There was
yeah.
something it was interesting. It's hard to figure out what to talk about with people. I mean, I
Right.
talk about this with people, but I talk about I talk about high things, but I think a lot of people now, okay, you know what they talk about? The
What's that?
news.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
what people talk. I don't talk about the news because I don't watch the news, but that is what I think people are around the water cooler talking about.
Mm. Yeah. And that's certainly not a subject that invites connectivity, right? If you were talking about Who Shot JR, you could have a great conversation with a total stranger and
Because and
feel
no one
like,
liked JR, all right? It was like
right,
we all agreed on that one, right? Because
right,
JR,
right.
I don't know. Then I think people started to like him, right? After he was shot, maybe then people liked him. Was that not what happened?
I think people just love to hate him. He was such a, you know,
Yeah, but maybe
he
that's
was,
what we needed. Maybe we need characters to love to hate than people that are real people.
but I don't think the phenomenon like Who Shot JR is even possible today because everybody is so segmented. We're not,
And we don't have the attention span either. So, do you know that we were looking at something and music, the length of a song has changed. They shortened it because people don't even have the attention span to listen to a song. I mean, you think of David made the comment like of Prince, right? That Prince's song. Oh, have you listened to that? That is so good. Have
no.
you listened to Prince's song in a long time of is it When Doves Cry?
We're done. Oh yeah. Mhm. Oh yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, and just it's like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You have to listen to it again. Was it which song is it? And it talks about God and it talks about the elevator. And I was like, you were gonna love it. Like you have to listen to his words because they're so genius.
Yeah. I'll put my headphones on and listen
Yeah,
to
I'll
this.
send you what song I'm talking about, and we'll insert it into the link because I can't think right now. But Phil, it's been so fun talking with you about the week ahead, and I think that our week is going to even be better for it.
Yes, and I hope everybody else's week will be better for it too. I'm sure it will be.
Okay, well, I'm going to end the recording, and I'm going to say thank you so much, everyone, for coming and being with us, and for seeing what's ahead
Thanks,
and living
Courtney.
your best life, I'll say.
And go boldly.